Hey, I'm Pam Maldonado, and I'm here with Sean Mize from Anyone Can Coach. And he's agreed to do a wonderful interview with me, and I'd love to pick his brain on a few things. And Sean, it's so great to have you here today. How are you doing?
I'm awesome. I'm actually great to be here. And I love answering questions when they're deep, like the ones you're proposing for me. So
Okay.
thank you, Pam.
Okay, here we go. Let's just, because you got so much information, I need to get it out of you really quick, so I'm not going to chit chat with you. Here's my question for you. How do you see the coaching industry changing in the next few years? And is there a high demand for it?
Well, I think that a lot of the change in the industry has occurred in the last 5 years, and that it's the beginning of really a long-term change. You know, one of the things that we've seen in the last decade in education, whether it's kindergarten up through 12th grade or it's college education, we're seeing so much more education that's online based. And that education is no longer dependent on what used to be mostly a one-way feed, you know, a teacher or professor at a blackboard teaching and then expecting students to regurgitate the answers.
Mhm.
And so what we're finding is that so much learning is becoming so much more interactional between people. And one of the things that I believe that is missing from our culture today, with the onset the last, say, 20 years of cell phones and people texting and using the social media, et cetera, is that there is a lower level of mentoring, even in life mentoring. You know, if you looked at 100 years ago, you know, a grandmother or grandfather might spend their last years in someone's home. The children are able to learn from the grandmother or grandfather just because they're in their presence. And we just don't see that kind of nurturing and mentoring in life that we used to see. But I think that humans are wired for relationship, and they're not just wired for relationships. Often when we think about relationship, we think about, you know, husband and wife relationship, or we think about relationship with parents and children, or we think about friends relationship. But as humans, we are required, we are hardwired for multiple kinds of relationships, spiritual relationships, mentoring relationships, et cetera, et cetera. And because our culture has really taken away so much of those mentoring relationships, I believe there's a void in most humans that says, yes, I can learn how to lose weight from a book. I can learn how to write a blog post from a book. But if I can have a human help me, it's so much better. What I think is really interesting is that this change has happened over the last, say, 40 years, but it's just recently that people are really beginning to accept that it's happened and recognize that they do need someone to help them. It's also becoming more commonplace to say, yeah, I have a coach. You know, it's become normal to say, yes, I have a fitness coach, and I have a relationship coach, and I have a life coach, and that's okay. It's no longer a bad thing. And I think 40 years ago, if you said you were going to see a coach or a counselor, it would be kind of like going to see a counselor. Well, what's wrong with you? You know, there's this negative opinion. That's changing. And so as that changes, more and more people are willing to get coaching, and not just willing, but I think more and more people are recognizing that if I pay for coaching, I can get better results faster. And so I don't have the hard data. I've seen hard data other people have provided, but I don't have the hard data. But that's what I see from a soft data perspective. And I believe because of that, there's going to be a greater and greater demand for coaching.
Yeah, there's something that I heard recently is how social media has really caused us to not be social, and how that has caused more of a drive for people to want to be part of these things, to be part of a group, to be part of a real live group, and that could impact the coaching business as well.
Well, absolutely. We're really beginning to see more of a void in people, especially, you know, one of the things, we're just at the tip. I think most experts would agree that we're just at the tip of people working from home.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the thing that has empowered people to work from home over the last 10 years, more than anything, is the amazing conferencing abilities, just like we're doing right now. You know, this was possible 10 years ago, but the cost might have been 10 times more to be able to do it. And so it's become much more commonplace for people to work from home. And what I think that this means is it's becoming more normal to work from home. And so when someone thinks about doing something entrepreneurial, they include working from home as part of that box. Well, if you take people that work from home, because most of the time, and I see this in my clients that work from home become very isolated. They they're working all the time. They isolate themselves, unfortunately, from their spouse, from their children. But even if they're not isolated there, the 8 hours that they're working, they tend to be really, really isolated. It's difficult to feel like they're a part of something because they're not physically going to work and visiting with 8 or 10 people. And so by having a mastermind or a coaching group experience that allows people to feel like they're a small part of something, not just a nameless, faceless social media friend, but actually part of something, I believe that helps meet that need for relationship during the work time. And that's only going to grow. So I don't know what the percentage of people are that work at home right now, but my guess is that in some period of time, 10 to 20 years, that number is going to be double, triple, or quadruple. Well, if all of those double, triple, quadruple people all need to be able to be in some kind of a group, well, that's going to mean that there's going to be double, triple, or quadruple the demand for small groups for people to be a part of.
Right.
Yes, I agree with you, Pam.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Because I mean, that just kind of reaffirms that we're in the right place. We're in the right profession, and that people who want to be coaches, it might be something for them to think about. It might be a great path that's open for us. Sean, I want to thank you so much for answering these questions. And we're going to ask you some more a little farther down the road. But for right now, we're going to say goodbye. So thank you so much for joining us.
You're welcome, Pam. Thanks for having me here.